Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 20th of April, year 2022. We are almost done with the first quarter of this year, it seems like. I'm hoping everyone is doing well and enjoying the spring weather. And I'm going to introduce all of us that are available on the panel today. Our normal members of the panel, starting off with April, who is our spiritual teacher. She's a psychic. She's got all kinds of modalities of healing, like Reiki, massage therapy. She's done quite a few. She has a long roster. Good evening, April. Thank you for joining us. And then we have our wonderful Eileen, incredible Eileen, back today. So Eileen is a mindfulness teacher. She's going full-time, I guess. You have to make that announcement, Eileen, into doing mindfulness as a teaching. She became a mindfulness certified coach last year and has been leading meditations. And she's going to be leading our first Friday of every month of our group meditation as well, starting in May. And then we have Patricia, who is a regular member of our group meditators. We also have Ken. Good evening, Ken. Thank you for joining. And thank you, Patricia, for joining. And then we have Francesca, who is also part of our regular group meditators. And Francesca may have to give a little brief introduction of herself.
Now?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just unmuting. Hi, everybody. I'm Francesca, and I'm a practitioner, and I personally struggle with labels, but I've been going with spiritual life coach because that's what I've been doing. From my own practice, I've been doing the inner work journey from the head to the heart for the last 8 years, and I'm still humbly on the journey. There's always so much more to learn. And yeah, I'm actually currently on medical leave, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this beautiful group that Poonam, I believe, put together. And yeah, our meditation every week and practicing presence. I've been reading The Power of Now. And yeah, I'm kind of just practicing presence every day, 24/7, literally. That's what it takes. So it's wonderful to be here, and thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Francesca. And then we have Marla this evening again. Thank you for joining us, Marla, who is part of our group meditators. Good to see you, Marla. So let me pull up the first question. And this question, I think even Francesca may have actually read it. Let me pull it up on the chat. There we go. The question, I think Francesca actually responded to this person on our Facebook group. This person writes, April, you're not your mind, you're not your ego. You're a wave on the ocean, a beam from the sun. My question is, if you're all one consciousness and form and ego die, does it matter if we choose to live this lifetime in love and connectedness or in hate and destruction? Is there any accountability for our actions? You want to get started, April? Thank you.
That's not a Lakshmi question, is it? No.
No.
Ultimately, as far as will you be punished, many people have the belief that if you're not good and you have sins, you'll go to hell, you'll be tortured. In that aspect, No, you're not going to be punished. There is no punishment on the other side. That is not a thing. So you could say that it does not matter if you decided to live in hate and destruction. However, living in hate and destruction is miserable. And it also produces more hate and destruction. And that, at some point or another in your soul journey, will have to be remedied. It will have to be corrected. So you could make those choices, and many people do make those choices to come here and to live in that manner. We are all one, and so there's kind of a little switch here that she does. If we're all one and we are all from all consciousness and all together, and form and ego die, doesn't matter if we choose to live this life. Your soul is on a journey to learn and to grow and to expand. It's always on that journey, because that is the nature of source. That's the nature of God, universe, is to grow and to expand. If you are living in negativity, in hate, sorrow, destruction, you can't fully grow in those states. Your soul is not expanding, it's not fully growing. When we start to heal those issues, those ways, and we start to expand our consciousness, expand our soul, expand our heart, our energy, now you are truly living. So my answer overall is yes. It doesn't matter as far as you won't be punished, but yes, it does matter. And we are not held accountable in this manner that's being described. So you don't go to the other side and you're punished and you're in trouble and you're this bad soul. However, you do have a life review when you get to the other side. You review your own life. You review your own progress. And in that sense, your own soul holds you accountable and says, you kind of didn't do that one so well. We really didn't nail down forgiveness this time. So let's go back. Let's do it again. Now, going back can be very quickly. Going back could be in what we would call hundreds of years. But at some point, your soul will have the desire to expand, because that is the pure nature of source. So at that point, you will come back and you will need to face challenges to grow from the hate and the destruction, to expand beyond that, to heal. Does that make sense? Yes? So yeah, you're not held accountable as far as getting in trouble. And I always believe that everybody, even somebody, so for me, for example, anytime that I am not in control of my energy state, meaning my emotions, and I say something or do something that is not in align with source, which is pure love and kindness and compassion, I feel that. That doesn't feel good. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to have that energy within me. So at some point, some people want other people to pay or to be punished. And I'm not saying this person wants that, but we feel like there needs to be some sort of justice. To me, even the people who are bad, they feel that. They carry that. I know I feel it. If I get off base and I say something, or I'm mean or I'm rude, I feel that energetically inside. So one of the things that I always ask myself is, because we all have to learn to practice self-love, because when you practice self-love, that actually out into the world, into all your interactions and all the people. So if I love myself, I won't allow myself to behave in that manner. And I ask myself, how do I want to be? And how I want to be is peaceful, is kind, is loving. So that then determines how I will react and respond in all of my interactions. And then also, and that's a practice of self-love, which a lot of people think self-love is selfish. But the way I see it, which is in this manner, that if I love myself, I won't behave that way. And therefore I'm loving myself, so I don't have the bad feelings, and I'm loving everybody else. That's what I do.
Incredible. Thank you so much, April, for that. So I heard you say about life review, which many people will not be able to understand that. I know what a life review is because I've listened to Anita Moorjani. People with near-death experience talk about it, and Dr. Eben Alexander talked about it too. So you want to give them what is a life review, please? Thank you.
So the concept that we have due to Christianity mostly is, and other religions, is that when we pass, that if we're going to go to heaven, we're going to have this life review, and there's going to be a judgment per se. So we're going to stand in front of God, or we're going to stand in front of Jesus, or perhaps it's Allah and, you know, whoever else. And we're going to be judged based off of our behaviors that we had in this lifetime, our behaviors, our thoughts. And that's actually not what happens. What happens when the soul leaves the body, the physical body, we have what's called a life review, which is a movie of every single thing that's ever happened in this lifetime. Not all the other lifetimes, but this lifetime. So it is every interaction. It is every time, even if you're a child and you stuck your tongue out at somebody, right? All of that is included in this life review, the good and the bad. It's not just bad, but it's good and bad. And it happens in milliseconds. It's not spoken. It's viewed and it's just known. So you just know, because again, communication on the other side is done energetically. So you do have a life review based off of, you set forth certain goals in this lifetime. So this lifetime, I'm going to learn forgiveness. This lifetime, I'm going to learn compassion. I'm going to learn service in this lifetime. I'm going to learn whatever. Or I'm just going to come down and just be a basic normal human, no real goals. I'm just here this time to just live out life. And I don't have this, you know, what we call necessarily a spiritual goal. Some people are here to just be normal people. But anyways, you will have a life review. And in that life review is you as your own soul deciding how you did in this lifetime based off of what your goals were, based off of how you wanted to expand this time. So, and it's also not a like a pass fail. It is, oh, that one, we kind of got that one, but I'd like to do that more. I'd like to do that one again. I'd like to really embrace that. So I don't want you guys to think that it's a pass fail. It's not a pass fail. It's also not a judgment as far as you're bad, you're a sinner. That's it. You go to level 0. You completely failed. So it's kind of like school. You can go to 2nd grade 1,000 times, but you don't get to go to 3rd grade until you've actually accomplished 2nd grade, until you pass 2nd grade. So it's kind of like that, but it's not necessarily a pass fail. There are certain things that we have to learn as souls to expand. Does that make more sense? Poonam, or do you need, yes? Okay.
Perfectly said. And the expansion is to know of ourselves in our innate nature of being the same as source, the loving
Yes.
kindness, the compassion, the empathy, until
It's
we can have
actually,
that, until we can have that unconditional love. Because both Anita Murjani and Dr. Eben Alexander, when their spirit left their body, they said they returned to the sweetness of infinite love.
yep. Yeah, and it's actually source knowing itself.
Mhm.
It's actually God fragmented into all of us, just like the prism. Each one of us is a ray, and it is God re-knowing itself through us, through our experiences. So in that, why would God punish himself? Why would he do that? He would not do that. He just says, oh, okay, let's do that again. We punish ourselves because we have these belief systems, but there is no actual punishing yourself. And when you have the life review, you do feel it, and some of these spots don't necessarily feel good. But again, it's not like a punishment type thing. It's more to just gain the knowledge of how our actions affect ourselves and everybody else and plants and everything.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you for the wisdom. Eileen, since you have been away from us, you want to say something about this topic? Thank you, April.
Sure. I was kind of there for like the beginning of the question, like it's following along as I was reading it, and connected with it because I talk about that a lot in my sessions about, the oneness that is, everything in nature, and we too are nature. But then as they went on to the end of their question and talking about whether it matters to do so in this love and connectedness or hate and destruction, I kind of got lost there because in my experience, my studies and experiences that I've had, they're not the same as like April. So I was listening very intently to as April was sharing to kind of get that information from her, even myself. But the idea of, there being accountability for actions, I think it would depend on what someone defines as accountability. Like April said, like heaven and hell. Well, no, but I feel like actions have accountability, but sometimes accountability is a good thing. And so if that is that, we might have to receive a lesson again, it's an opportunity to learn. And so it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I think it just would depend on what that question means to the person who is asking it. That's it.
Thank you so much, Eileen. I think as far as accountability is concerned, we watched a video dealing with unconsciousness by Eckhart Tolle. That's the name of the talk. And he talks about this karmic law is compensatory.
She typed the word at the same time you were saying it.
Oh, wow.
The exact same time. It's like you spoke it and it was right on the screen. People at home can't see that, but Patricia typed the word karma at the exact same time that Poonam was saying the word karma.
He talks about that it's not so much as we may think that another person or we ourselves, why would we not want to act like with violence? Why would we not want to? Because that action in itself has its own momentum. Once we act with violence, violence begets violence, right? So we already have set that into motion, so it's going to come back. So the question to this questioner is, how much pain and suffering do they want to suffer? Right? Because that violence that coming back to us will be violence against us, which will be pain and suffering, which violence does cause devastating pain and suffering and trauma. It can be if we are not learning the lesson, as April was saying, right? We are not expanding, we are staying in that contracted state of awareness. If you're not expanding, then that violence is just going to magnify, right? Because the lesson needs to be learned. So
It'll
it's just going to
keep coming.
exactly what one person, we got the financial loss, now we are having a loss of health, now we are having a loss of relationship. It's like he talks about in that talk, Socrates, the greatest lesson, right? It's shaking us up. You got the loss in the relationship, you got the loss in the finances, now let's see what more loss can I give. So that's the question for the questioner, right? How much loss do we want to suffer? Because at some point in time, that suffering is going to bring us down to our knees, is going to cause the expansion.
Yep.
Right? The part that April was saying. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Ali. Patricia, did you want to say something about this? I know you've been typing, people cannot see, so you might as well speak to it.
That was actually incredible. Yes, that we are thinking the same thing. Wow. Yes. When I saw that question, it came immediately the answer. Of course, it matters, but it matters to us. Like you said in April, it's just the experience we having. Why would we ever want to, feel the hate and make more of it? It just, so there you go. This is the answer. Because for Eckhart, when he talks about it, when we are hateful and causing more suffering in the world, we are not conscious. And we are here so the consciousness can be aware of itself. So we're not following our purpose. And that's why it's causing more suffering. So once we realize that, the only purpose for us to be aware, to be in the moment, and to be creative, because that's what universe likes. We can only be truly creative when we are aware of the moment. And universe loves diversity, likes playfulness, and so if we feel otherwise, that's not why we're here. So, and then if you still choose, it came up the Groundhog Day, because I know that Eckhart also talked about that movie in one of his videos, and that exactly. So the character keeps, seeing that there's no consequences, so he's gonna be bad because why not, right? And then that doesn't take him anywhere; it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and it's just constant suffering. When he chooses to actually go the other way and for others, making the life better for others and forget about himself, then when he actually gets out of that repetitive karma, I guess. So my answer is yes, there is a difference, and choose the good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Francesca, did you want to say something about this? Thank you.
Sure. Like Patricia said, there is a difference, and I agree. Yes, there is absolutely a difference. because our choice determines our reality. It determines how we're going to experience that reality. You know, karma is cause and effect. Because we do something, this is what comes back to us, right? And so we all have free will. We all have choice. So it's up to you. I think it was April and Eileen that mentioned that it's up to you how much you wish to suffer, because if you wish to suffer more, then there's a huge difference between knowing by reading in a book that, yes, everything is oneness and all of that, those beautiful truths. And there's a difference between knowing that and a difference between embodying that knowing through our practice, through the choices that we make, right? So yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. I think I expanded on the answer inside of the group. Choice is everything in the journey, and what we choose is what determines the outcome of our lives, and that determines whether we reincarnate, what happens when we die, all of that. It's everything in the journey. Choice is everything in the journey. So I recommend that the person that asked the question perhaps sit with her question a little bit longer, because we all have the answers. It all comes to us. It's all within us, right? And really think about what is it, why. Actually, I'm curious even as to why she asked that question, because I think April mentioned, the first part of the question, it spoke about oneness and so forth. And then there was that switch, right? And I love deep questions like that. So I think that's all I want to add, is choice is everything in the journey.
I think
She's trying to
reason-
find the purpose. She's trying to find the
Yes.
purpose of life. What's the point if I'm just gonna,
everything is one. I think
I'm going to
also-
go back and read the question. Yeah.
also what I see is spiritual work is very easy once you know how to get to that high vibrational frequency. But to
Yes.
get to that high vibrational frequency, it is work.
Yes.
Just like Byron Katie and Dr. Joe Dispenza says, right? We have to do the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Yes.
And when somebody does not want to do the work, then they go, oh, why don't I just stay in my ego?
Yeah. And I'm actually reading the question again, and I noticed that whoever asked the question said that the ego died. And that's a misconception, because the ego never dies. It does not die. The ego evolves. So even as we're doing the work, as we grow and evolve, the ego itself actually evolves, and it starts to adapt to our new states of consciousness as we experience those states throughout the journey. And to be really honest, it evolves so much. There comes a point where, it's easy to become the mind without realizing that's what's happening to us. And, which reinforces what Poonam said. It's about doing the work, because if we're not doing the work, it's very difficult to catch when that happens too, right? And doing the work will actually equip us with the ability to see when that happens, because we move into a state of pure awareness, is what they call it in Buddhism, right? And pure awareness is the awareness. So it's from being present, you become fully aware of the arising, your state of being, the energy, your energetic field, everything that's going on around you, you become fully aware and present with what is. So even if your choice is, okay, I'm not going to do anything, and, I'm going to choose suffering, then be happy with that choice. That's the essence of presence, right? Is whatever you choose, be fully present with it. But you do have that choice. So even if we know that everything is oneness, what we choose is what determines, you know, how we're going to show up. It's going to determine the experiences that comes back to us as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I think in one of the posts you had written, the other benefit to having the presence practice is we start to manifest what needs to be manifested through this physical form. Right?
Absolutely.
We won't experience that manifestation because the violence or violent action is going to be the resistance. And when we are resisting, the law of attraction says, what resists persists, what we fight strengthens. So as Eckhart says, right? So the resistance will stop us from manifesting what we need to manifest. If you want good health, it won't manifest. If you want abundance in life of relationships, abundance of just being comfortable, we won't have it just because the resistance will keep us from manifesting. So I wanted to offer that as well.
Absolutely. Yes.
Can I just quickly add one more thing that came to me about what Eckhart said, that I'm asking if I can, and I'm just going without waiting for your answer.
Is Francesca done? Francesca, did you want to add something more?
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, just add on to what you were saying is what we practice, we become, right? And that everything is energy, or words or energy, or thoughts or energy. Every single thing is energy, and we attract to us who we are, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to add.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Francesca.
Thank you.
Good addition. Go ahead, Patricia. Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize for cutting.
Good.
What came to me really alive is that Eckhart said, I think it was in Power of Now, that if we are truly present and accept this moment, no one in their right mind would choose suffering or hatred or anything. It's like, that would be insanity. So there you go. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Marla, do you want to say something, Marla? We discussed a lot.
Yes, I actually have been having a question about the compensatory nature of karma, and I'm not quite sure what that means. Compensate. If I compensate, it means it's sort of like what goes around comes back around. It reminds me of a boomerang. You know what a boomerang is?
Mhm.
It's like a boomerang that if
Mhm.
you throw it a certain way, it comes right back.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, I'm having some trouble wrapping my mind around it, because some people commit such horrible acts that how are they ever going to work their way out of that? I mean, they would have thrown so many boomerangs that are coming back at them. In the process, they're hurting a lot of other people. And I have to trust, because I don't understand it, I have to trust, which I do, that that's part of everybody's evolution and everybody's growth who may be hurt by that. So I'm kind of deriving the idea that people who do really horrific things and cause horrific suffering, they're not just going through motions to help somebody else's evolution and growth. That's their way of evolving. And I mean, I guess I just see it for some. I mean, you can pick the political figures that have done this, and the child killers and the child molesters and all of that. I just, I think it must be, there must be a miracle somewhere that allows those people to heal. And because I have a hard time believing that some people can't heal, not just in this lifetime, but in other lifetimes. I mean, I would like to understand that. I would like to get that. Whether I ever do or not, I don't know. I'm not letting it bother me in the sense of stopping me from having faith that what I'm doing in my life is what I need to be doing in my life for my own growth. But I still am having some trouble seeing how it all fits together. And maybe it's just more than I can comprehend too. So I appreciate what Francesca has offered in addition to everybody else. That was made clear. April always seems to make things simply clear. And I so appreciate that. Simply clear. She doesn't just repeat the same words that everybody says. She somehow makes it more clear. So thank you, April. Thank you. I mean, it's easy to say all the words. Don't we all know the words? We're all,
That's actually one of my main goals, Marla. Like that's my main goal because there's a lot of imposter syndrome,
oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
But my thing is I want to make sure that you understand it. I could repeat what other people say, but for me, when I hear other people, I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What? So that is one of my goals. So thank you for that. And
Well, that's interesting to know, April, because when I was in my sojourn as a Roman Catholic, there's lots of words in religion, lots of words and lots of truths that are spoken in a certain language, and you can repeat them and you can feel holy, but what do they mean? You know, what does it really mean? And I said that, I guess that's why and even in this too, I've read books by quote unquote spiritual teachers, and I guess I'm sensitive to that imposter syndrome. It's where all they're doing is parroting. They're parroting what they've heard before, and they're making a bundle on it too, because people hear the words and they recognize the truth in the words. But that's what drew me to Eckhart. One of the big things that drew me to Eckhart was the fact of his authenticity. I believe he doesn't use anybody else's words. He says the words out of his very being. And so to me, they have power, and somehow it resonated and it clicked and it put things into place inside of me in a way that allowed me to access my God being within. And I don't know, sometimes I can just, I mean, even Oprah has interviewed people who, oh, they can say all the right things, but I go, ugh, go away. And it's like I could feel it. It's like, stop. I don't want to hear all that again. I want to, so I really, really appreciate you, April. And that's what's coming up for me. I hadn't expected that to come up, but I really do. I mean, how often can you say, oh, we're all one. You're not your mind. You're not your ego. You're a wave on an ocean. Blah, blah, blah. You can say all those things. And you can think about it and go, yeah, that's nice. That's nice. But you have to get past that in order to get down into the core of being able to use. And like Francesca used the word embody. I like that. Embody these truths. You know, if we don't get to that experiential level, all we're doing is parroting. And it's like quack, quack. It's like I do with my 8-month-old great granddaughter. You know, I pat my head, she pats her head. You know, what's the point? So I'm going to stop. I tend to go on and on when I get excited about something, but that was so significant for me. Thank you.
So the part about karmic law being compensatory, the way Eckhart explained it in this, and we watched it together, Marla. You were there when we watched that talk, Dealing with Unconsciousness.
It
And you
prob-
can look at it on his website as well. So the way he explains it is because from the topic we know, right? He's talking about dealing with unconsciousness. So what he's saying is your partner is going to push your buttons, right? Your partner may push your buttons. Now you react. That reaction will set its own momentum, like it will have, the reactivity will have a corresponding action back. Now you ask the question, people do horrific crimes, horrific acts of mass proportions, right? So we have to look at the collective unconsciousness as well. So what they are showing, what they're demonstrating is there is enough in the 7 billion or 8 billion, how much ever population we have become. What is the collective unconsciousness? Like if it is pedophilia, how much is pornography and sexual deviancy prevalent in this collective consciousness? So somebody has to demonstrate that, right? Be a demonstration of that. So that soul, and we'll come to April. I want April to answer this question after Ken speaks. That soul is acting, has taken that, his soul contract, his or her soul contract in this lifetime is to be that level of deviancy,
Oh, okay.
right?
So that's part of his personal spiritual growth.
That's their spiritual growth for this lifetime, and it may be in the next lifetime they learn the lesson as they're going through their life review. They realize, because I've seen when April was talking about this, nobody can act unconsciously. I've seen an interview where a man, maybe Morgan Freeman had this on National Geographic or one of those TLC channels, right? Discovery channels. He had like What is God or some kind of series. I cannot remember. It was based on God, right? He would go interview like people who are of Muslim faith and different kinds of faiths and talk about it. But then he went once to a person that was in life imprisonment because he had raped and maybe dismembered like 25 women, 25, 30 women or something like that. And he sat across from this guy, right? In that interview, he sat across, and you can see there is no empathy. Like Morgan Freeman is asking the guy, do you have any remorse for the act that you did? Right? And there's nothing, the eyes are, and that's what Eckhart says, right? When you see a person in presence power, you can see, just like Eckhart's and Byron Katie's eyes, look at their eyes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can see the life coming through the eyes, like there's luminosity in the eyes, this very clear eyes, right? Their eyes are like glass, very clear. Consciousness is just pouring through. And this guy was like completely like no emotion, nothing. And it may be that he may have suffered like as a child, maybe he was beaten up, he went through physical abuse, he may have tortured animals when he was little, whatever he may have done to develop this violence within himself, right? But then he did that, like maybe kidnapped women and young women, and they dismembered them and like assaulted them, whatever he may have done, right? And Morgan Freeman asked him, would do it again? And he said, yes, I would do it again, right? And he's in life imprisonment or something. But that's the thing, that person's role in this lifetime is that. And when 7 billion of us come to this level of presence, it doesn't have to be 7 billion. They actually say it's just 1% is enough, about 100 million. Then we'll start to shift the planet. But the unconsciousness, there are patterns in this collective consciousness. You can see the mass shootings, the behaviors, we can see the unconsciousness, right? There's certain types of behaviors that human beings have been for the past 200, 300 years. It's become more and more, right? But the suffering that they cause is going to, look at the war in Ukraine, how much compassion it's bringing, right? Yeah, one side, it's like a dictator is trying to take over, but then look at the amount of compassion that the world has risen up to meet everybody in Ukraine. So he has his role in this whole, it's like a drama, what the Bhagavad Gita calls it, and Eckhart has quoted it in A New Earth and The Power of Now. It's called Lila. It's like a divine game. It's like consciousness is figuring out how am I going to expand? Where is the expansion, right? Is there expansion through Marla? Is there expansion through April? When April does so-and-so, is there expansion, not expansion? It's constantly testing itself out, right? And the more we make, the infinity of expansion is only in going into the depths of our being. That's infinite depth. There's infinite depth outside in the cosmos, then infinity is within. Ego cannot be, it's finite. Ego, what the ego does, like Elon Musk can have as much wealth as possible, or Jeff Bezos can have as much wealth, but it's limited. It's still limited, right? The infinity is in, and that's what each one has to know, that the infinity is within, and there's nothing else other than, and that's the answer. The infinity is within. The ego cannot be, ego is always finite, because impermanence of form rules, right? We're going to learn in No Mud Lotus, impermanence of form.
Right.
When ego creates, it's going to be destroyed very soon.
Well, as I have grown in this the last couple of years here, I also am a history. I love history. I love trying to understand people. And as I look at history, I'm a voracious reader. And as I look at history, and I don't just mean the last couple 300 years, I mean back and back, I've been able to perceive the general wave of growth that people's consciousness has gradually over time come to new levels, where what was acceptable in the medieval world, we wouldn't even think of. It's punishable. It's verboten now, when it was really acceptable, and even back in prehistoric times. It's fascinating to me how it all works, and I know I'll never get it all figured out in this lifetime, but it's sure fun. Sure fun to try.
Thank you, Marla, for the question. The curious mind is, an inquiring mind is needed. To that note, what I would say is another point of consciousness, unconsciousness, that I did not know ever. In the book Nature of Personal Reality, where Seth had been the Pope, like maybe in 180 or 30 AD, like right after Christ, he said during that century, 100 or 200 or 300 AD, in Europe, it was okay to kill your children. Infanticide was okay.
Yeah.
until the child was baptized. Once it was baptized, it was under God. So if the parents said, oh, I don't have enough money to raise my children, they would just go ahead and kill it. So we've been that
Look how
crazy.
far
look how far we've come. I mean, we really have come a really long ways, and it would be wonderful, I think, and very encouraging if we could focus on that instead of looking at, oh, how terrible it is that this is happening over here and that's happening over there, and oh, the world is, blah blah blah. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. The gains in, so whatever we were at the golden era, we are dropped. Then the descent of the divine started. Now I think we are raising up, back up. It seems like so. Let's thank you, Marla. Thank you for your curious mind. And Ken, you want to speak to this question so that we can go back to April and ask her what Marla asked?
Okay, well,
Thank
boy,
you.
this has been incredible. I've enjoyed everybody. And the question is a beautiful question. I feel like this is definitely why I'm on this planet. And I feel like I've worked through so many different layers, so many different levels. And I'm going to go back to, I'm realizing why I came into this life. And I definitely came in to learn spiritual growth, and realizing that the only knowledge that I had when I did come in, because I was so bankrupt spiritually, was I was living off of self-will, thinking that I was going to figure everything out. And I had no idea why life was the way it was. And as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to understand the depth of why are we here? What is this all about? And I had those feelings even when I was a kid. And then I went through a period in my teenage years that things got so bad. I actually had loss and whatnot, people dying and things happening. And so I shifted, and I didn't know what the pain that I had. It was so great that I wanted to drown it, numb it, run from it, do whatever I had to do, because I didn't know how to deal with it. So, I had different addictions and whatnot. And then after a period of time, to my early 30s, that didn't work. So I actually wanted to end my life. And that came real close. And I got so bad, and it seemed like everything that could happen to me at that time, it was like one wall after another crumbled. But it just brought up the pain so bad that I had to do something with it. It was either end my life or get on my knees and ask for help. So I did. And that was the biggest miracle of my life, because obviously I didn't die, and I was given a life. And there was even a voice in this whole episode of a white light experience. And it was all Kundalini energy that came from the ground. And then it actually went through me. And as it went through me, it was such an incredible, exuberant feeling of happiness and joy and love. Then it spoke to me. And it actually told me that I will be going through other experiences, and I will be doing something else later on in life, and I will understand when and why. And so it's been incredible. And, reading this, and it says, I want to, so it says, you're not the mind. No. And I know that now. At the time, I didn't know that. And no one was going to tell me different. That was my ego. And so understanding it now, when my ego does come around, it's an icky feeling. I'm easily going to judge, criticize, find fault, and I feel kind of crappy. So I know now the difference between the unconscious and the conscious, the ego and the lover. And going back to what April had said and a few other people about self-love. And that there was like self-love. I used to say, that's just trouble. That's going to bring on all kinds of things. And I realized that through time, there's different times when I didn't want to listen to certain people. And I now realize those are my defects in my character. Those are my unconscious feelings that are inside of me. I call them, they're invisible splinters inside of me. And there's lots of them there. And I realize there's lots of me that's dormant. And it's just waiting for the right time for them to emerge, and realizing that those are opportunities. They're not there to hurt me. They're not there to alter my thinking or anything. They're actually there to help me. And that there's the pain and the suffering. So now it's my friend. I'm really getting very comfortable with my uncomfortability and realizing that's why I'm growing much faster, because I'm not resisting it. I'm actually welcoming it. And so it says, in realizing that, you know, do I connectedness or to hate and destruction? Well, that's the ego. And to me, it's just chasing its tail. It's inside of my head, just spinning, and realizing that if I don't surrender, if I don't have humility, if I don't ask for help, then I'm going to keep inside the knowledge of my humanness, and I won't grow. I'll think I'm going to grow, and that there right in itself, and understanding that thinking is not coming from my spirituality. What's coming from my spirituality is my awareness. It's understanding that my presence or my inner being is always there, always was. And realizing that I have to feel the stillness. And the stillness, there's nothing there but stillness. And then realizing what spirit is or God is, God doesn't think like humans do. And so, of course, and as Poonam, you had said before, God's not going to punish himself or herself. It's like, it's just pure love. It's pure consciousness. And realizing that that's why I'm here, is that when the opportunities arise, when my stuff comes up, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to go through the human unconsciousness. That way I can understand what I need to do. And when it does occur, now I can help others when they're going to go through what I went through. And realizing that we're all here to love and support. That's my main reason for being here, no matter what I do. So it's just incredible realizing I came in this life, and I realized I actually even picked my parents. I came in to go through whatever I went through. And so everything I went through was exactly the way it was supposed to happen. Even up to the second right now, this is what's supposed to happen. And realizing more and more when I am around conscious people, that's when I plug in. Just like I plug in my cell phone, it needs to charge. I need to charge myself. And I need to nurture that part of me. My mind, my body, my emotions, and my spirituality. It all needs maintenance. And it's something in order to grow. Like I plant a seed in soil. It's something where it grows. How am I nurturing it? How is that tree going to grow? How is whatever going to grow? And we're just mirrors of everything that does grow. Whatever we put in it is how it's going to grow. So that to me, that's the whole lesson. And if my unconsciousness, if I'm going to fight and resist, when things start to go wrong, well, that's the magnet. That's what I'm putting out, and that's what's going to come back to me. Even if I think about it, and realizing that if I can let go and I can be in alignment to how I want to be, and then that's my That's the consciousness. And there's so many things I've learned since I've been in this group and realizing there are no mistakes. You know, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And when we elevate ourselves, we will be brought to the next level. It's just the way it works. So I'm just very, very happy to be here. And I'm happy you all are here. So thank you very much.
We're grateful you are here, Ken. Thank you so much for that example of how your life unfolded when unconsciousness started, that we can get to the point of being suicidal, and then you get a white light experience, right? So what happens when you're at that brink of suffering, that there cannot be any more pain, right? And then it shifts.
Right. And at the times you go through these things, and I went through an ugly divorce, I went through that, and now I am so much friends with my ex-wife. And if it wasn't for the consciousness and doing the work, and I love what people are saying, we don't grow if we don't work. And it is hard. And lots of times doing this work is very lonely.
Yes.
And I've outgrown so many people at different times. And I'm like, okay. And and that's where I grow. And I have to make a choice. I'm here to get to higher levels of consciousness. And what I learned, I got to give it away. You can't keep it. And I love the last part of this. Is there any accountability for our actions? And they talked about karma, and it's something where I'm learning that if I don't do the work, and if I don't give it away, and if I don't put my spirituality, the number one reason why I'm here, I'm not going to feel that good. And the ego will, to me, the ego does rebuild itself, and it can. So that's where the maintenance comes in. You know, we got to make sure that we nurture ourselves and take care of ourselves in so many ways. If we don't, if we don't come to the group for a couple of weeks, I'll guarantee you'll miss it. But when you come back, you're going to say, I feel so much better. It's an incredible, beautiful, loving muscle that's inside of all of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Ken. April, did you want to answer Marla's question in simple language, simpler language?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. I'll try to see if I can make it quick. I have a teenager that's texting me, right? That needs assistance. We'll just put it that way. So this is very confusing at first when you are trying to figure out, what am I doing here? Why am I here? How did I get here? What am I supposed to do? Why am I going through these things? Why do other people go through these things? And this again is something that I say often. To truly understand this, you cannot look at it through the human perspective, because through the human perspective, it will never make sense. So there is, in a sense, karma, but karma carries a negative connotation. Like, we think karma is bad. And even my daughter said something the other day that she used a word she should not use. And then she walked into the bedroom, she stubbed her toe. We laughed and I said, karma, right? So we have a negative idea of karma. And she looked at me and laughed and I laughed. So, but karma's not always bad. That's one thing to know. It's not always bad. Sometimes karma is good. It is basically the energy that's put out is the energy that comes back. How this connects to the soul is, in order to get, so let's think of source for a second, okay? Source is all, right? We use that word. We say source is all. But what is all? I mean, all, the good and the bad. It is all. How can I truly get back to oneness, to source, if I don't know all? I have to experience all. In order to do that, I have to come here where experience is, this is the place where it's happening, right? It's so awesome. Let's come here. But really, here, 3D Earth is where you experience. You cannot truly know something until you experience it, which many of us have said tonight. But if I am really trying to get to all, I'm really trying to get back to one, to source. If I'm really trying to know myself, I need to know every aspect of this. Therefore, I will have to have lifetimes where I am the bad guy, where I am the good guy, where I'm the quiet guy, where I'm the angry guy. So you do pick your life. You do pick your experience. You decide what things you're going to work on. But it gets complicated to where it's almost not explainable as far as how intertwined, how much of a web this is, as how this works. So if I'll just pull a random example. If a person wants to have a child and they come into this lifetime and they choose this family, and in this family, there seems to be some infertility issues. So there's a highly likely chance that they will not be able to have a child, but they're really going to want a child really bad. And in order to learn some lessons, you will have to have a child, because children teach you like no other. I will be the first to say. Another soul is over here and is going to come down and says, I need to learn love, and I need to learn forgiveness, and I need to learn the true nature of unconditional love and compassion. So I'm going to come down and my parents are going to die. So now we got two souls that are connected. One wants to have a child and can't. One is going to have parents that are going to die. This one is going to adopt this one. And they chose that before they came here. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's all done on purpose. It's all interconnected to contribute to that knowing all. You have to know all sides to actually, if Source is trying to figure out who it is through us, it has to experience every aspect. I have to be the mom that can't have a child. I have to be the child that has to be adopted. I have to be the person that's raped. I have to be the person that robs the store. I have to have all these experiences to actually get, and that's where the matrix is actually the universe, is the whole, the container. But if we look at the matrix as we've been shown it through the movie, the matrix of all these things interlinked and playing out their parts, it is all connected. If I want to come down here and I say, okay, this time I am going to like really take off on this spiritual path, and I really want to progress in this, because I'm kind of done with a lot of all of that, you know, garbage and hard, and just staying in that uncomfortable, that unhappy, unconscious role, then I'm going to have the life that I had. I'm going to have a mom that gives me up. I'm going to have an angry dad. I'm going to have an angry first husband. I'm going to have 500 children. I'm just kidding. And then I'm going to grow, because I want to heal. I don't want to hurt anymore. And then the next thing you know, I'm on this panel with all of you. All of you said, we're going to be on the spiritual path this time. We're going to learn all of these things, and all of our souls are connected. So When you're saying bad things happen to people, why do bad things happen to people? It's because they chose it for this lifetime. Because they had to go through that experience, and then the person that does it to them, they also had to go through that experience. And we don't stop learning when we go to the other side. That's another thing too. Some of us, we don't just learn here, we learn over there too. And you don't have to come back to another lifetime. However, your energy is tied to the frequency of this planet. So the frequency of this planet, your soul is vibrating at that frequency. That's why you come to Earth. So you will have these experiences, you will have these things happen. And one of the, again, because we're in the 3D world on Earth, where there is hot, cold, heavy, light, dark, all of that, that contrast, as it is set up here, that's the only way we learn. Right? So when you have these mass shootings, and that spreads out, especially now into this global society, this global world, and the whole world goes, oh, stop. Now you have made a mass, everybody wake up. And I don't mean wake up with the woke. I don't mean that. I mean, wake up consciously. Wake up to realize that we need to stop and we need to love each other. So why did that happen? Because that soul came down and said, I will do it. I will go ahead and I will have this tragedy. I will be the person that does it, because that is going to wake up. Oh, I don't know. What do you think? 5,000 souls? That's good. That's a good accomplishment for me. I'll be the bad guy. Do you see? So, but from the human perspective, we think you're a horrible person. You were raised in a bad home. You had so much abuse. No wonder you were like this. But that horrible home, that abuse had to happen in order for that soul to wake up the 5,000 people. Right? Does this make sense? We got this, right? So the goal is that eventually we get the 8 billion people, most of us, awake, conscious, and not in all of this bad doesn't have to keep happening. It will have to shift in some way, and I don't know how it will have to shift, because now this concept goes a little bit farther. There is always contrast here. There's always contrast here. There always has to be contrast here, because this is Earth and there has to be balance. So I don't know if that means that the murders and the rapes and all of that will stop and we're just going to have volcanoes and hurricanes in the ocean. But there will always have to be some sort of contrast. So we're going to have to shift the contrast. It's going to have to shift to something for at least Earth, how it is here. There is a purpose. And when these people pass, they do go to the other side and they say, oh, I was a murderer this time. Yeah, I don't want to do that again. That was not, I want to evolve past that. So then when they come back again, they choose a different path so that they can learn and heal and they can evolve as a soul. Because again, you have that life review. So if you're the mass murderer, you're going to see that happen in your life review. And your soul's going to go, oh, okay. Next time I'm picking a different path, because we learn on the other side too. I don't know, maybe I said too much. So.
It's always incredibly amazing, April, the way you break it down. So thank you. Thank you so much. Marla, did you have any more questions?
I just want to say thank you, April. You took that a little bit further than I had been thinking, so I'm appreciative of that. I could probably listen to you go on and on and on and on and on. So for me, you never say too much.
Awesome. I think it's been more than an hour and April has to go pick up her kids. So let's take a break and meet next week. Is that okay with everyone? Patricia is about to fall asleep. Since it's East Coast time and we don't have caffeine, Patricia and I don't have caffeine, so there's no false energy here to keep us up. So have a fantastic evening. Infinite gratitude to each and every one of you, as well as anybody that joined online. So grateful. It's an honor and a privilege always. And have a wonderful evening. Many blessings. Much love. Good night. Bye.